My video for November 11th, that's 11/11, 2018, video number 2903 is entitled, Fisa Warrant Could Trigger the Great Awakening. I received an article in my mail, How the Full Declassification of the Fisa Warrant Could Trigger the Great Awakening by Richard Enos. Many might ask, what is a Fisa warrant? The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, of 1978 is a United States federal law which establishes procedures for the physical and electronic surveillance and collection of foreign intelligence information between foreign powers and agents of foreign powers suspected of espionage or terrorism. To me, most United States federal laws are fraud conducted by foreign agents. There cannot be a great awakening without first correcting and eradicating the lies we've been told all of our lives. This includes both religion and political lies, or religious and political lies, subjects we're not supposed to talk about. Yes, they are the areas we've been most deceived, the areas where we are controlled to protect the dark powers that want to maintain the delusion. To awaken, we must know the actual truth, which is the first step toward true justice and freedom for all. How many of us are required to shift the paradigm of lies? Is there some magic formula? Yes, I question everything. Discovery begins by asking the really big questions that begin with the words, what if? Last night, I, once again, as I do many Friday nights, most Friday nights, I guess I could say, I went out dancing, and an elderly couple from Baltimore, Maryland, snowbirds that come to Florida in the cold weather, happened to be sitting next to me. And the gentleman started conversations on a number of subjects, including politics, and then he would get up and go to the bar and get more drinks before I'd even finish answering the question that he asked, leaving me there with his wife to continue on. And he never came back and says, well, what did you say? He never asked for further clarification. And finally, I became so uncomfortable, I got up and left an hour before they were finished playing and just exited the building because it was a strange vibe I was getting from this guy. But that has nothing to do with what the video is about. The video is about the political structure that we've been told and the great awakening that humanity needs if we are to survive as a human race. Yes, I believe it's that serious. And if you've been paying attention to what's going on politically, it's an insane, mad world. Very polarized. Everybody's fighting against everybody else. Some people claim that the Republicans are the answer. And here's the interesting thing, going back to that conversation with the guy. They were in total agreement with me when I said that Obama and Bill and Hillary Clinton were a problem. As soon as I said that so were the Bushes, they immediately went in defense of the Republican Party. Yes, it's a mad world. As if the Republicans are the purists. No, both parties have been totally infiltrated by the deep state. And it's the dark agenda that conceals, not exposes, truth. It conceals things that would be detrimental to their game plan of enslaving humanity and having total control and the ability to do whatever they want, breaking all sorts of natural law with impunity, because they consider themselves to be above the law, they being the government. But you say, Ron, it's more than the government. You're right. It's the religions too. They continue to mix the truth with errors. And the errors are what divide. The truth should unify. The truth that we are supposed to love one another. The truth of tuning in and listening. As I said in the previous video, when the Germans and the Americans actually made the Christmas truce, and that was back in 1914 in the First World War, the early part of the First World War, they could no longer shoot at each other. And if we would communicate with each other, we would recognize that we all have something in common that needs to be nurtured and fed. But of course, that doesn't fit the agenda of the dark establishment, of the demons or fallen angels, or whatever you want to call those that have run roughshod over humanity for eons, changing our DNA so that most of our codons are turned off. It was called junk DNA by some of the researchers because they couldn't figure out what 90-some% of it was for. So much of it was turned off. So we're dealing not just with a half a deck, but with most of the deck gone. And how do you win a game when most of the cards have not even been made visible and known to you? Well, we can't, can we? We can't figure out and connect the dots when there are so many pieces of the puzzle that aren't available to us. And this is the situation in which we find ourselves, which boggles my mind how people keep telling me, Ron, it's up to us, it's up to us. How many of us are actually required to make the shift? Now, some say it's a very small percentage. Others have said 10%. I've heard 3%. If it's 1%, we're not going to make it. We might be able to make it if there might be a dozen people or 100 people on the planet that have enough awareness and connection with higher realms like Anastasia that I've mentioned so many times that could actually bring about real, not imagined change, but real change, an actual shift in consciousness that would affect everyone. I don't see that happening without some kind of angelic or divine intervention. I'm sorry for those of you that keep trying to correct me that I'm wrong, but I can't see it. Maybe you can, but then show me who the people are that have been awakened to the point that they're able to exert actual influence over the world, current events and geopolitical structures and even the religious structures. Show me how that's going to happen without some kind of a miracle that would produce a great awakening that is talked about in this article by Richard Enos. Anyway, folks, these are things that I wrestle with on a daily basis, and I'm trying to make sense of it all. And I keep praying, and I keep reaching out to whatever the real creator is for clarification and for empowerment and enrichment that will enable humanity to finally rise up and actually discover what has been turned off so that we can get it turned back on again. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.